I believe right here in the front row.
Yeah.
Stand up, give us your name and where you're from.
Hi, Senator. My name is Emily Rochlow, and I'm from Londonderry, New Hampshire. And it's my understanding that on your last trip to New Hampshire, you told an audience in Dover that we need better and more intelligent investments in the human capital of this country. Right. But you did not identify where that money would come from. A group of former military officials that are highly respected say that we waste $60 billion annually on obsolete Cold War weapons and excessive amount of nuclear weapons. Noting your passion for education and health care, if elected president, would you shift that $60 billion to America's real priorities such as education, health care, and reducing our dependence on oil?
That's a possibility. You raised a good question, and let me address it in two parts if I can, first of all. One of the things we need to do, the next president needs to do, we better do, is we're overburdened in many ways with an arsenal that was a Cold War arsenal, not just ourselves, but a lot of countries around the world. And we've missed the opportunity over these last 6 years that we began actually towards the end of the Clinton administration and early part of it, and something called non-Lugar, which was buying and acquiring these weapons, providing capital from places like the former Soviet Union to take them out of the inventories, reducing the threat that they're going to be sold or used by others who would do us great damage and harm. One of the things I would like to see us do is to, again, reduce these stockpiles around the world multilaterally of these kind of weapons that are dangerous, not because they may be used, although that's a problem, and accidentally could be launched, but also the deterioration of these weapons in these silos where they are poses huge problems as well. I'm amazed this isn't more of a discussion, but something I care deeply about. I've already assembled a team of people who really know a lot about this to give me some very specific ideas on how we can do that. Let me also mention to you here, and obviously doing that and being smarter about how we spend money generally. A lot of this waste that goes on in the Pentagon, you could save billions of dollars. I was at the Portsmouth Navy shipyard a few days ago talking down there about the waste that occurs with their computer systems that had a sole source contract that has cost billions of dollars to the American taxpayer that is basically ought to be fundamentally altered and changed because people haven't been monitoring and looking at closely at how these dollars get spent inside the Pentagon. But I also want to say to you this. One of my great concerns is over the past 6 years, we have allowed a deterioration to occur within our combat readiness of our forces in this country. We have not kept up pace with the kind of equipment and so forth that our troops need. One of the concerns I have is that today, if we were challenged some other place, whether or not we could respond to it, because we failed to do what we ought to be doing. Iraq has cost us, of course, a fortune, billions and billions of dollars every week to sustain this. Something like $8 billion a month that we spend here just to sustain the efforts over there. It seems to me once you begin to move away from that, begin to reassess those costs over here, we can do the things that ought to be done to make sure our military is functioning and is combat ready. And I'm very worried. In fact, that's not my conclusion. I would tell you that our military testifying before Congress has warned that they are not combat ready in a number of areas. So that needs to be done, and then saving money through better accountability, better oversight, so that we can invest in these other human capital needs of our country is something I would strongly support.
Emily, thank you for the question. Senator, you can stay